Hi everyone and welcome to the Imaging Expert of Pakistan. Today we have got Dr. Amjad Safar with us and it's an honor for us that having him at our platform again. Today we are going to discuss about the teleradiology and welcome back sir and welcome once again to the Imaging Experts of Pakistan.
Thank you for having me again.
So we'll start like what is teleradiology and when was it started?
Okay, thank you for approaching the subject. This is a very vital subject, at least to me, because I have spent over 10 years developing a teleradiology area workflow. Teleradiology basically came into being once we started developing PAC systems. As most people know, we used to work in X-ray films, and people had to go into the hospital. Radiologists had to go to the hospital and look at the X-rays that were physically developed and put them on a light and read it and make the reports from there. Once everything starts to get digitized, this is going back about 23, 24 years back, when the software started coming out, then everything became digitized. And once the digitization happened, then the restriction was limited, was removed as terms of where the radiologists had to sit to read the cases. So over the last 2 decades, many companies have developed virtual platforms and virtual ways of working. The whole radiology world has changed in terms of how they work. There's no longer the need for looking at physical images, not even CDs anymore. Everything is online, and radiologists are almost uniquely working on computers and remotely or on site at the hospital, depending on which way the work is. So teleradiology was an extension of this digitization in the radiology world, where radiologists figured out how to work together as a group remotely, and the company supported them in developing all the software. So now it's widespread all across the world. You don't have to be in one location. You can have 10 people, almost hundreds of people working on the same software and working for teleradiology workflows.
So what changes have been made in the teleradiology since it has since the start, and what could be in the future? Like, what do you think? Like, what changes could be made in the future?
Yeah, since I'm in the United States, I've seen it happen here locally first, and I go back and forth to Pakistan a lot. The future is, of course, future is here already. I've been to Pakistan multiple times, and I know that they're behind by about 5 to 10 years. But eventually, even in Pakistan, you will see a change in the way radiology works. You will see the change, whether people like it or very hard for adaptation purposes. People may resist, but eventually this will have to be done where everybody's working online. Of course, you have to have the online support for internet bandwidth and the software and the computers. But this has already happened, and it's going to continue to change in terms of the way the systems are set up. And the new push now is, of course, towards the AI capabilities of the PAC systems, where the computers are going to start, making interpretations and making some pointers in terms of radiologists on whether they see the findings or don't. So technology keeps moving, and we have to adapt. Or if we don't adapt, unfortunately, we'll just have to, be left behind.
So how teleradiology is beneficial for the patient or for the departments or for the hospitals?
So teleradiology takes away the waste, wasted time, wastage of resources, wastage of processes that slow things down. So there's a natural progression of movement from films to teleradiology because it's cheaper, it's faster, and it's more efficient. Whether it's a small clinic to a multi-hospital institution, everybody is going to have to change to and adapt to the new way of working. because you do not want to get tied down to papers or paper reports or to have physical films people carrying around, because those can get lost and damaged. In the United States, this has already happened. There is nobody who is actually doing films anymore here. Rarely, maybe you might go someplace in a rural area and you might see that, but that's very, very rare here. So I predict, and I've been predicting for the last 6 to 10 years when I go to Pakistan, that this will eventually happen in Pakistan. The sooner the people adapt that workflow, the cheaper and faster it will be. And the efficiency comes in by pooling resources, meaning that you can put shift work in radiology. You can have groups of radiologists that are working to continuously do the fast turnaround time, make the reports faster. You can communicate virtually, you can communicate within the system or over the phone. So there's many, many ways of already doing these things that will need to be developed in Pakistan.
Okay. And what is the role of the radiographer and the radiologist in teleradiology? And what do you think, like, how is it beneficial for the radiologist as well?
Well, with the virtual workflow, the roles are fundamentally the same, and the relationship has to be the same in terms of providing, proper reports for the patient's sake. But it's just now virtualized, so the radiographer and the radiologist are connected not by physical location anymore, but they can be anywhere. But their communication protocols have to be open and clear. The radiographer has to put all the data into the system so the radiologist can read it properly and make sure the proper history is put in, making sure that the hospital systems are properly documenting each report. And it also, radiology is one part of the whole electronic medical record system. So the information from the radiology side flows into the electronic medical records, either in a clinic or in a hospital medical record system. So the fundamentals are still the same. Nothing changes, except that the way of working is different now.
Okay. And what do you think? What are the limitation of the teleradiology, and what are like disadvantages of it?
Well, teleradiology. Actually, teleradiology is already happening, even in a hospital. Of course, the disadvantage is that you can be a few miles away to hundreds of miles away to thousands of miles. You can be anywhere in the world. That's the disadvantage, but it's really not a disadvantage, because even at a big hospital, you're sitting in a room and reading cases as they're coming into the list. And you still talk to the radiographer over the phone, you give them a call. So unless you're needing to physically talk to somebody face to face, there's really no disadvantage anymore. Unless you're a treating doctor or doing a procedure in the hospital, that's the only requirement that's left anymore, that a radiologist needs to be in the hospital. I understand that it's very hard to let go of sometimes that workflow for the management to ask the radiologist to come to the hospital and work. And I've seen that in many, many places where it's just very hard for them to let the radiology group go. But there's no purpose in the radiology group sitting in an office at the hospital versus somewhere else, because they're doing the same work. And that happened 15 years back. And unless interventional radiologists, unless you're an interventional radiologist, you need to do and see and treat the patient. The diagnostic radiologists don't need to be there anymore, unless there's a physician who comes in and talks to you, but that's also gone now. In the old days, when the physician used to come and talk to the radiologist and say, hey, can I consult on this case with you? Now that's done over virtual phone in the same fax system. So the disadvantage for teleradiology really is not much, as most of it has changed and it's going to change. Even the patients are virtual now. The patients, if they need to talk to a radiologist for just consultation, they can do it virtually. The whole thing has gone virtual, including medical visits with televisits. So I don't think location is an issue anymore. If people insist on having a location, that may be just for social reasons or for management reasons, but it's not needed.
fine. And any suggestion or any message would you like to give to the radiologists or radiographers or about teleradiology from this platform?
Yes, absolutely. So I really think that we should prepare ourselves for the future. I don't think that continuing to work the same way is going to take us anywhere forward. It's going to put us at a loss. I think we should be open-hearted about accepting new workflows and accepting the new softwares and ways of working. I think that if we don't adapt to that way of working, the work is now virtual, as you saw through COVID. That virtual way of working came, whether we liked it or didn't, it came through force. And it just virtualized everything. Same thing has already happened in radiology. So the work can freely flow from one person to another over an open marketplace. And if you don't adapt, another radiologist somewhere else will take that work, or another, I'm not asking for the radiographers are not virtualized, right? You still have to make the images and take the patients. I'm not talking about the radiographer's role. I'm talking about the radiologist's role. I mean, someday, maybe, who knows, we may have walk-in X-ray machines or something, but I don't think that can be replaced. But as a radiologist, you really need to adapt your workflows. We're already doing this in centers. Okay, there's huge 700, believe it or not, 700, 800 man radiology groups in the United States that are working virtually across the nation through all the 50 states, working on shifts and doing everything remotely from home. I work from home all day. I can do a lot more productive work from home. If even the hospitals here in the United States do not adapt to that workload, they're going to lose access to radiologists. So everything is now virtualized. Same thing is going to happen in Pakistan. We actually have opened up a teleradiology center in Pakistan. And when I came in, and I hate to say it, I got a lot of resistance from radiologists. And that's natural human reaction in terms of saying, oh, what is this? We don't know how to work that way. But like it or not, it's going to be forced upon us. And whether we like it or we don't like it, the work is going to get virtualized. And eventually, it's already happening. I've seen it happen over the last 10 years. There were people who were just carrying film, but that's not the case anymore. So we're bringing in a teleradiology operation to Pakistan. And we have over 35, 40 radiologists that work with us virtually. And it doesn't have to be limited to Pakistan, it can be worldwide. So even teaching and case conferences and meetings, everything is virtualized. So I would encourage anybody who's interested or have further questions, to please contact me if needed, or to contact your platform if they needed further guidance or information. We have lots of resources available for them to adapt to the new software and get their career back online and track, because you can sit at home and work from home oftentimes, and that's the future.
Yeah. And 5 years ago, maybe the situation was totally different, but after this pandemic situation, after this COVID, this is the reality.
That absolutely happened even in the United States. At some of the hospitals that were insisting here to have radiologists come in, everybody had to shut down, and then people had to be forced back to home. And once they realized that they could do that, then they don't want to go back. They can work from home. You can eliminate the commute time. You can eliminate the wastage of any wastage time. Software has to be strong enough and support all the support staff went virtual. The referring doctors went virtual. So this has already happened here, and I believe it can happen really faster and quicker in Pakistan as well.
Thank you so much once again for your time, and it was a pleasure talking to you. And it's an honor to have you at this platform.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate your giving me the opportunity. And if there's any future help from anybody that needs in teleradiology, please get in touch with myself or your platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much.